Well, we're so glad to have you here tonight joining us for our journey to homeownership. I am a realtor, local realtor. I live in Auburn, California, and I have with me Yi Gong, who is the loan strategist for the evening. And we're going to talk to you tonight about the steps of buying a home and what it takes financially to get into one. I think it will surprise you. So let's get started. You ready, Yi?
Yes, let's go. I'm so excited. For those of you, hopefully will join us very soon because we have quite a few people registering.
Yeah, here's our contact page. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, we'll also show us at the end of the presentation as well. But if you want to reach out to us, here's our phone number, email address, and how to reach us. All right, let's get into this.
Perfect.
So a quick introduction and our overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to cover about why should we buy a home, the benefits, and overcoming fears. We're going to talk about the different steps of buying a home, how to get pre-approved, all the different down payment assistance options, and the closing day, the most exciting day of it all, when it finally comes to an end and your dream comes true in your new home.
Yep. All right.
And this is a nice little slide to show you how to compare owning versus renting. So if you bought a home for $450,000 and your mortgage was $2,850 a month, you'd be paying that to pay down the loan that you got on the home to buy the home. After 10 years, you would have paid $340,000. And after 10 years, you'd also have an equity of $427,000. And you may ask, well, how do I have that much equity and I only paid $340,000 into it? Well, that's because of appreciation. And trends show that the houses continue to appreciate over time, especially in California. And if you rented a house right now and paid $2,500 per month, you're paying that towards your landlord's mortgage. Or if he owns the house free and clear, that's just money in his pocket. After 10 years, you have paid him $378,000 with a total equity of 10 years of zero, because you're not putting anything. The equity is like money in your bank. It's like a little piggy bank. You just keep funding that. And you may wonder, how come I'm paying more in rent after 10 years than I am with my house payments? And the payment is lower with my rent. Well, right. Landlords can raise the rent 5 to 10% a year. And that is what that represents. So $378,000 is only 5%. So usually they'll just do a 5%, but they can go to 10%. So that is the difference. And it's a huge difference. And it's nice to see that graphic so that you can understand that. Then we have
pretty much already covered the benefits of home ownership, right, Color? Just those two slides.
Definitely. Yeah. One thing I want to point out here is that the payments are stabilized. So yeah, it's one thing I didn't cover in the last slide. And that is that with rent, your payments are going to go up. When you lock yourself into a loan with a housing payment, a mortgage payment, it stays the same for the life of the loan, unless you refinance, and then usually you do that when the interest rate goes down so that you can have a lower payment. But other than that, there it is.
We're gonna talk about this quite a bit because it affects a lot of people that's on the call today, right? Like reasons people hesitate to purchase a home. And I get it. Number one, a lot of people, I talk to a lot of buyers, they always think they will need to have a huge down payment saved up. They're like, but yeah, I don't have enough money. Can I buy a home? A lot of them have really good income, just not enough savings, like 20% down. In reality, you don't need 20%. We're going to go into that a little bit more later.
That's what it used to be in the olden days. Everybody thought you had to have that much down, but you're able to get into it for much less today. And, some people think it's because their credit isn't perfect or their interest rate is too high. Well, I want to say that the interest rates right now are in the high 5s, low 6s, and that is about what it was when the market crashed in 2008. So it's not that much different. And when when COVID came around and we had interest rates dropping as low as 2.5%, that really hurt our economy. What it did is it drove the price of the houses way up. We had a lot more competition with buyers trying to compete for a home. And now these same people are trapped with that interest rate. They don't
Right.
have the same, they don't feel like they have the same freedom as they would if their interest rate was more normal, you know. And I know people are waiting for the interest rates to go back down, but that is not a good thing, because as you wait, the prices of the houses continue to go up.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you an example. For example, like people are like, oh well, Fed is gonna cut rate. I'm gonna show you like visually. Imagine you have a $500,000 loan. Okay, a quarter rate cut. Guess how much you're gonna save? $87.
$87.
Okay, so what I want you to focus on is if you wait longer, how much you're gonna lose.
Right.
Versus think about I'm gonna wait on that quarter. And on top of that, just because the Fed cut the quarter rate, that doesn't mean that mortgage rates are going to come down like by quarter rate either, because
Right.
mortgage is more tied to the 10-year bond yield. It's anticipation of the inflation forecast.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, and I just let you know, rates have been historically as high as 18%. So us being down in the 5s and the 6s right now is very nice, very sweet spot, right? Yi, think it's a good spot to be in.
Yes, when I bought my home 2000, I was paying 7.85 on the first loan and 9.85 on the sixth. So this is 6.5. It's really not bad at all.
No. So some people are just saying, well, I'm unsure about the market. What is the market doing right now? Well, for a buyer, I'm going to say if you live in the greater Sacramento area, you are in a good spot, because housing prices have reduced $40,000 to $100,000 from last year. So it's a really good time to buy as the prices have come down. And some people just say, I feel overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. And that is why you are here today. And I'm so excited that you're here today so that you can figure out where to start. We are going to guide you down this path to get into your own home. And we're going to do it right now. So, you know, you can read this slide, but what I want to do is instead tell you a little story of me helping a buyer. So I had a listing agent ask me to do an open house in November a couple of years ago. And I had 3 families come through. This house had been in the market for probably a good 7 or 8 months by then. It was not selling. It started out at about $615,000. It was on a 1-acre property in North Highlands. It was a cute little 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, about 2,000 square feet, and just a real cute little property. It had a swimming pool in the backyard, but it was not selling. One of the families was interested when they came through, but they decided to not pursue it. And when I told the listing agent how it went, she's okay, no buyers. I'm going to take it off the market. We're going to put it back on in the spring. So again, this is November 1st that this is happening. February 1st, these buyers that were interested that came through called me back and they said, Carla, we are interested in buying this home, but we don't see it on the market. Is it still for sale? So I called the listing agent, and sure enough, it was still for sale. They had just not put it back on the market yet. So they were super excited to make an offer off market. So when we had the open house, the price had come down to $585,000.
Oh, wow.
We offered this buyer $560,000, and she took it. She just wanted to get out. She wanted to move on. She'd already purchased another house. She was just waiting to get out of this one. So we are super excited about helping you today have the same story or a similar story to where you can get into the house that you really want.
Absolutely. We have so many great stories. People just get into their dream home, just overjoyed.
Yeah.
It's really a first step towards many things, right? Financial stability, wealth. I mean, you name it.
For sure.
And it's truly your little piece, place. I was talking to a lady, and it's never like, she's 60 years old. She said, I just want to buy my first home so I can do my crafts. How sweet. And we're helping her get her place.
Wonderful.
Even just a little place, that's hers, right? It beats your rental apartment, like just any given day.
Yep.
Okay, so the first step. Yep.
is hiring your real estate agent. So you want to find somebody that you can trust, that's going to be a good communicator, and that knows the market. Those are really the three things. People are going to be honest with you, have your best interest at heart. That is who you want to hire. If you don't hear from them, if they don't respond quickly, they're not keeping in touch with you, then you are, you need to move on. But I would say you can ask friends, you can look at Google reviews, and then I'm here today so that you can kind of get to know me a little bit. And we can also schedule a time later so that you can, we can talk about how I work and talk about what your needs are. And so one thing I want to talk to you about when we are looking to have a relationship is there's a law that went into effect in August of 2024. Mm-hmm. And there is a new form that the buyers have to sign now called the BRBC, the Buyer's Representation Broker Agreement and Broker's Compensation Agreement. And what happened with that law is that the National Association of Realtors, we call it NAR, NAR, was sued by sellers saying, I don't want to pay the buyer's agent's commission anymore. That's how it has been for years. It's been built into the price. It's the buyer's funds that fund the loan, or even if it's cash, fund the deal. I know it's the buyer's or the seller's proceeds, but it's kind of working together to get all the commissions paid on both sides. Well, so sellers after that law think, well, I don't have to pay the buyer's agent's commission. It's true, you don't have to. But if you decide not to, you're reducing your buyer pool significantly, because buyers have a huge down payment to come up with already. And to come up with their buyer's agent's commission is usually just impossible for them. So we are talking to our sellers. We're asking them to please continue paying the buyer's agent's commission, as we've always done. And so far, we haven't had any pushback. Everybody is doing it. Nobody's pushing back. And so we also, but with that law, the buyer has to sign a form saying that they're willing to pay the buyer's agent's commission. However, when we submit an offer, we put on there what the commission, or what I'm asking for in the commission. And if they counter and they say, nope, I'm not paying your commission, then we can walk away from that. We never will get stuck. You as a buyer will never get stuck having to pay my commission. So I just wanted to let you know that up front, so that there's total transparency around here.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately, a piece of paper the buyer has to sign now to get around this law. Yeah.
And the other thing is, yeah, and the other thing is, I have down here the exclusive or non-exclusive agreement. So another thing that happened to that law is that agents are no longer able to show a buyer a home before they sign a buyer's representation agreement. I used to show homes all the time and never worry about that until we made an offer. Then that's when we had this agreement signed. But now the new law says they want us to sign it before I show you a home, or I can get a fine. So you can choose a non-exclusive agreement because you don't know me. Buyers they reach out to an agent unless they do know them. They don't really know the person. And you need to know if you have a good working relationship. So one way you can do it is sign a non-exclusive agreement, which is just for that day. You can look at houses with that agent just for that day. And then the exclusive agreement is good for 90 days. However, if at any time your agent is not performing well and not communicating with you and not doing their job, all you have to do is submit it in writing that you no longer want to work with them, and they will release you. So there's no obligation. Either way, you're going to be free to work with whoever you feel the most comfortable with.
Step 2.
Yes. So this is where I make an appointment with you, and we're going to go over your needs and desires. We're going to look at 3 things on our bucket list. We want to look at the criteria. What do you want? Do you want an acre of property? Do you want a small lot? Do you want a 2-story house, a 1-story house, a 2-bedroom house, a 4-bedroom, a 2-bath, 3-bath? What do you want there? Do you want a swimming pool? Do you want a large yard? Do you want a small yard? This is your time to just say, okay, I've had this house in mind for years of what my dream home is, to where I want to live. And I want you to write down as many things as you can think of in our appointment. And the next thing we're going to talk about is, where is that house going to be? What is the location? Of course, some things you want to keep in mind is, how far is the commute from where you work? Another thing is the budget. So what I want you to focus on is, how much can you afford in your monthly payment? What is, you don't want to go over this amount. What is that amount? And we're going to go over that in this appointment right here.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to the fun part.
Yes.
Before I even get into the pre-approval, because you hear about it all the time, right? You need to get pre-approved. You need to get pre-approved, because if you don't have that piece of paper, the realtor is not really going to work with you, and the seller is not going to entertain your
That's right.
offer. Yeah, because you're just not serious enough.
You're
But
not
before we even
serious.
go into that, I want to talk about the 4 things. Number 1 is the budget. So Carla has talked about a little bit, like during the planning meeting, we need to understand, okay, what is the budget? So the rule of thumb, before you even, you can just think in your head. Let's just say if you make 100,000 and you have moderate debt, okay? So the rule of thumb in your case, I would go 3 to 4 times about 100,000. So that's 400,000, right? Just like in your head, this is what you can visualize. Now, when you buy a home, there's expenses associated with buying a home. The housing cost. So what is involved in housing cost? You have mortgage, you have taxes, insurance, and HOA if you buy into a condo. So from a lender's perspective, though, they look at the debt to income ratio. So your total debt, including your housing, divided by your gross income is what they're looking at. So the rule of thumb for them is going to be approximately under 45%. So give you an example. In this case, let's say your gross income is $6,000 and you have a debt total, which includes all the housing and your recurring payment for your car, for your student loan, all that together is 2,400. So in this case, your debt to income ratio is 40%. And when we have I call it my simple steps of buying a home from a lender perspective is learn, plan, and buy. So
Exactly.
we're at our first step right now today, and we're learning, and then we're gonna go planning. Planning is when you look at your budget, look at your credit, look everything, and decide what you feel great about paying every month.
Yes.
Credit. Okay, credit impacts rate and loan options. The minimum credit for most lenders, it's 580. Okay. It's not like you think, oh God, I have to have perfect credit. No, you don't, but you have to have okay credit. So be able to get a free copy of your credit report and just check and do your own cleanup is a great first step. And we can talk about during a planning process as well, because it's important. You might only need a 5-point bump up that will get you to a better rate. And it's very easy to do, easier than you think. Or there's some work that you need to do. So during our planning stage, that's where we look at where you at and put a planning together to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you have credit cards, how much do you want to have that credit card balance at? And does that give you a better rate if it's lower versus higher?
The rule of thumb is the color is referring to the credit utilization rate. So let's make it easy. Let's make the credit card line of credit limit you have is 5,000. Okay, so the rule of thumb is you want to keep your balance under 30%. So 5,000, you cannot carry a balance more than 1,500. If you carry less than 30%, your credit score is going to be much better. If you go over 30, it's going to be definitely impacting your credit score. So it's such a good question. And I always tell people, if you have, you try to save money for down payment, but you also carrying credit card debt, the first thing you do is instead of saving, you pay your credit card debt down to 30% first. That's always your priority.
Good tip.
Yeah. Cost. Okay. When you buy a home, when you make an offer, you need to have 1% of earnest money as a deposit.
1% of purchase price.
Oh, 1% of purchase price. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you want to have some skin in the game, right? You want the seller to think you're serious.
That's right.
And down payment, depending on the loan program, it could be either 0, it could be 20. Closing costs, you have to think about 2 to 4% of the purchase price. That will cover your lender fees, your title fees, your escrow fees, and also prepaid items. For example, you have to prepay your property taxes, your insurance, and sometimes mortgage insurance if you do not have 20% down. There's also appraisal and inspection that you have to pay out of pocket. It runs between $600 to $750 per piece.
Yeah.
One more thing as a homeowner, and Carla can jump in, is the repair maintenance ongoing.
That's right. 1% of the purchase price is what you want to have put back in the bank, just in case. That's your fund. That's your repair fund. We don't use it for anything else. It's not a vacation fund. It's just to put back for the house, and that's a minimum. But if you can have at least that, then that's a good start.
Yeah, because when they buy a home, usually the seller or the buyer's agent pay for a 1-year home warranty, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that will cover your major appliance if they fail during the first year.
And I have a little tip. I just heard from a home warranty specialist at one of the real estate meetings a couple of weeks ago, and she said to make sure that you ask for the advanced home warranty, which is I think $890. Usually we ask for like the $500 or $600 plan. It's the basic plan, but she says that higher, more expensive plan will cover the older HVAC systems. To replace an HVAC system costs about $10,000.
Oh yeah, it's very expensive.
If we can get a seller where buyers are in the driver's seat this time right now because of the way the market has shifted. So those are things that we can ask for that won't cost the seller a whole lot of money, but will be a huge benefit for you if something goes out.
Very good tip.
Yeah.
And the dogs, we'll have to gather some financial dogs. So if you salaried, we'll need 2 years W-2s. If you self-employed, 2 years tax returns. For salaried, we also will require pay stubs that cover 30-day period. We'll need 2 bank statements, and make sure, this is during the planning stage I talk about, make sure the bank statement do not have large deposits. Like if there is a large deposit, we need to explain it, and preferably, the 2 statements we're going to be using will not have these large deposits that we'll have to explain. Other income documents, if you have child support, alimony, all those, can be considered income. So we will get that supporting documents as well, and make sure we have a copy of driver license.
Yeah.
Understanding your budget. I talk to this with my buyers all the time. Pre-approval is essentially the max. That's the ceiling. That's the maximum amount the lender is willing to lend you based on their review of your income, your assets, your credit. So does that mean you're going to go out there and purchase that amount? Well, you can. If you find some property you really absolutely love, and tell Carla, I need to have that property. I don't care. I'll figure it out. After we had this conversation again, you're like, okay, go for it, right? But for most people, because we don't want you to go into a home and feel house poor or unhappy and can't afford it because you have other recurring debt that's weighing on your overall payment. So I would always recommend, look at how much your take home is, look at room for emergency, we have to budget for ongoing repairs and maintenance, and also allow for travel, family, and savings as well. So when you get into this house, you're going to be happy. You're not going to feel trapped, and you still have enough wiggle room, and you still enjoy it a lot, right? We don't want now I can do anything.
Yeah. Can I chime in for a minute, Yi?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of when you apply for a credit card, they'll give you a credit limit. Let's say it's $25,000. But But it doesn't mean you go out and you buy as much as you can to hit that maximum amount, right? You want to
Exactly.
keep that balance low. Same with your house loan. You, even though they may approve you for $700,000, you may only feel comfortable purchasing something for $500,000. That's okay. That's good, because that just gives you some wiggle room in case you want to go up to 550, or something like that. But you just want
Oh
to be
yeah,
careful.
totally makes sense. you,
Yeah.
you don't go out and max out your credit. I mean, that's
Nope.
just how it
Nope.
goes. Yeah, yeah. People will learn, and they know actually a lot of buyers do have a comfort zone.
Yeah.
What happened is they go out there, look at homes, and they get all excited. Ooh, this looks good. That looks. Then there's this thing, the budget start to like creep up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what Carla is so good. She always keep them grounded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, don't
Yeah.
forget the conversation we had very early on. What are the most important things to you? And I also tell buyers, this first home is not going to be your last home. It does not have to be perfect, right? You just need to it just make the needs and wants. And there are certain things you can overlook if it saves you tens of thousands of dollars, like
Yes.
whatever that makes sense to you. Okay. How much money do you really need to buy a home? First time buyer, you can put down as little as 3% if your credit is 620 or above. Conventional loan options allows you to do that. There will be a mortgage insurance requirement because you're only putting 3%. There's also FHA loans that allows you to put 3.5%. And that minimum credit score goes down to 580. If you are active or retired military service members or spouse, you can qualify for VA loans, which is, you can put down as little as 0 if your score is 580, or you can put down 10% if your score is only 500. The good thing about VA loans, there's mortgage insurance required for this type of program. There's also USDA loan that requires 0 down as well. The property just needs to be allocated in certain area.
Mostly rural, but
Mostly rural, but there are certain parts like most, like Placerville is all USDA.
okay.
Cameron Park, most of it USDA. Auburn, most of it USDA.
And the loan, the interest rate is lower on the USDA.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
true?
USDA loans like almost 1% lower than the regular 30-year.
Could you explain the 580/500 on the VA loan? What is that?
Yeah, so if your score is 500, they can still do it, except you have
Oh,
to put
wow.
10% down.
Okay.
It's crazy, right? Yeah.
It is 500.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually talk about just credit score real quick. So for those of you, if you had bankruptcy, whether it's chapter 13 or chapter 7, and you thought, I will never have a chance to buy a home, that is not true. Just reach out to me, because the rules is, depending on the discharge date and dismissal date, you absolutely have a shot of owning a home.
Great.
Now I want to talk about down payment assistance.
Right.
This is a great topic, because many people want to know, okay, do I qualify? Who is eligible? First-time buyers. Okay, first-time buyers is anybody who's never owned or have never owned in the last 3 years. So if you own a home 4 years ago, you can qualify for this program. And you can also qualify if you just never lived in a home that your spouse owned for the last 3 years. It's available for both low, also high income earners. Give you an example for Sacramento County, Dorado County, Placer County. You can make up to $236,000 and still qualify for this program.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it helps cover down payment and the closing cost. And I have programs go to credit score as low as 600.
That's great.
So if you have stable income, you just do not have enough resources, reach out to me, because this might just be the program you're looking for.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. It really opens up the buyer base a lot. But a lot of buyers don't even know. They just think it's strictly for low moderate income buyers. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it just want everybody who need assistance to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no limit. Just, you apply, you get it, and go get your home.
Yep.
So it comes in different forms. One is grants. So it's just like I said, it's gift fund. You don't have to pay it back. And the rest is usually like second mortgages. Okay. It could be fully amortized over 10 years. It could be completely deferred, which means you don't pay during while you're living in there. No, okay, let me backtrack. There's no payment on this at all until you refinance, you sell, or you pay off the first mortgage. Does that make sense to you, Carla?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Or it could be completely just forgiven. Like
Wow.
the balance is erased if you make 36 months of timely payments on the first mortgage.
Wow.
It's
That's
just
awesome.
like, okay, done. You are great. Like they just want people to be responsible, and at the same time they reward you for being responsible.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And the amounts, it's like I said, 3 to 5% of purchase price or appraised value, whichever is lower.
Okay.
I'm going to show you this sample here, real life
Okay.
listing. This is a list startup home in Sacramento that's currently active for $390,000. They actually had a price cut of $12,000. Okay, it's a 3-2, 1,200 square feet. It's actually look really cute. So how do you use down payment assistance to buy this home? Well, let me say one thing, because the seller just had a price cut. Okay, so to ask them to pay for your closing costs might be a little bit too strong, like coming off too strong, like you're asking too much, you're really kind of pushing them a little bit too hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have closing costs, you don't have enough money. So how do you buy this? Here's what I suggest. Let's wrap that closing cost into the offer price. Instead of offering $390,000, how about we offer $402,000 and ask for seller credit of $12,000? Seller still nets $390,000. They're not giving in any more, but at the same time, they're giving you a credit of $12,000 because we have raised the price to $402,000.
Yep.
So we're gonna go for FHA loan, 3.5% of the down payment, which is about $14,000. That will be covered by the down payment assistance program. Wow. So you have FHA loan in the amount of $394,000. That's a 30-year fix. And then you have a DPA second, which is deferred. In this case, you pay back as sale, refi, or pay off the first. Total housing payment for this house is about $3,376, everything included. And required household income is about $90,000.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing in the bank, you can buy this home if your household income is $90K, everything covered.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a good plan, good strategy there.
Yeah. So for people who have, stable income and still renting, and desperately try to save the money, but it's hard to save money when you try to, do all other things. Yeah. And this will be a really good strategy to get into a new home.
Yeah.
Okay. Get pre-approved. What is a pre-approval? It's just a written commitment from the lender to tell you how much they can lend you for based on review of your income, your credit, and your asset. It's a first step, a very meaningful step before house hunting. Like I said and Carla said before, without it, seller won't take you seriously. They won't take your offers, and the realtor practically doesn't want to show you homes either.
Right. I submit it with my offer. I always submit proof of funds with the offer because we want them to know that we can afford it and we are serious about it. Even if it's a cash buyer, I submit a screenshot of like their bank account to show that they have the money in the bank to buy this. And then with this, what Yi would do is she would provide a letter to me. She'd send that letter over to me to show that you have pre-qualified for the amount or more of this home so that you can get into it.
Yeah. And it's usually valid for 90 days, but it can be extended because your credit score usually expires in 90 days. And I'm going to tell you things you absolutely have to avoid after you get pre-approved. Okay, what to expect at pre-approval? A quick loan application, a quick credit check. You're going to provide your income assets, which you already have a list from the previous slide. The lender reviews the file and give you loan options, and you will receive your pre-approval. Then you can go house hunting, and without any worries or anything, because they've practically underwritten your file. That's what a pre-approval is all about. So this slide here, that's what a lot of people don't understand is like, okay, I got pre-approved, I'm good to go. Then they go out binge buying things they should not be buying. Like take a credit card offer, balance transfer $25,000. As soon as you take that offer, they're going to run a credit inquiry on your profile, and that's going to drop your credit score. And then buy large items like car, boat, or anything over $5,000. Applying for other loans, all these things. When you buy a car, I one time had a buyer. He went and bought a BMW with a car payment of $1,100. I'm like, what are you doing? The debt to income ratio all of a sudden just went completely out of whack.
Yeah. So wait till after you get the keys to the house, right?
Exactly. Don't do anything that you just feel like, oh man, I've been putting off. Now that I'm done. No, you just half done. You still have a lot of work to be done. Making large and explained bank deposits. Lenders do not like large bank deposits because they just open a lot of, can of worms. And now you have to explain everything. You have to trace everything back. And it delays a lot of things. I just don't do it. Quit or changing jobs. You got an offer for a better job, for a 10% increase in salary, right? And many people are like, of course I'm going to take it. Before you take that job, please talk to your lender. Here's why. Lenders love stability. Changing jobs, they don't care you're going to get 20% more compared to your previous job, because now you have essentially stopped your continued employment that you had in the previous job for 2 years. Now you got to go into a new job. They don't care it's in the same line of business, but now who knows how long you're going to have that job. There's not much for them to like really rely on to see how long it's going to continue, right? So just don't do that. Stability and everything else, just keep the way it is until you get the keys.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah. People get very creative sometimes.
So that was a lot of good information. Thank you for sharing that, Yi, because that's super critical in getting that home. So once you've been pre-approved, now it's time to sign that buyer's representation agreement and start looking for homes. And we already know what your criteria is. We know the location, and we're going to make a list of what we see on the MLS. We're going to go out and take a look. And I recommend that you don't look at more than 6 homes a day. I always take a clipboard with me when I show my buyers, and I'm going to ask you on a 1 to 5 star rating, what do you rate this home? And you will tell me, go compare to your dream home. And then the next home we're going to look at, we're going to compare to the first home. How do you like this one? And it's just good to try to compare. I'm also going to write down notes about each home that we look at so that we understand what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Well, I love the house. I just didn't like the sloping property. It just had a lot of hills around it, or it was too rural, too far out in the country, or it was too close to other houses, whatever it may be. I'll take those notes, because when you're looking at houses, you are emotionally charged. It's like being at Disneyland. So it's just like so exciting. And I am not emotionally involved in that process itself. I'm emotionally involved with you. I'm excited for you, but I'm not emotionally involved in the process itself. So I can take notes. We can talk about those notes later. And if you did find a home in those 6 homes that you wanted to make an offer on, then I would say just sleep on it. We're not in the COVID era where you have to get an offer in immediately or it might get taken. Just sleep on it and make sure that this is the home that you want.
Yeah. Carla's always going to play the devil's advocate because she is impartial one. So you can say all you want, and she's going to say, well, there is this thing you need to consider, right? Always bring back to the basic.
And I'm going to bring you back to your criteria, because sometimes people say, they tell me what they want, and then we go out there and it's like, oh, I love that has 5 bedrooms, and you only told me you want 3 bedrooms, and it's going to cost more money, or more to clean, or it's a 2-story. You definitely didn't want a 2-story when we first talked. So I'm always going to bring you back to earth and to reality and say, we can always change your criteria, but I want you to think about what you're doing, just because you went out there and looked. So, you can go back and talk about it with your husband or partner or whoever it is. And then we go back and talk about it. You can talk to me about it and see if you want to make some changes, or if yes, the original plan was what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when we're evaluating homes, there's some things that we want to check before we make that offer. We want to know the condition of the major systems in the home, such as the roof, the HVAC system, the plumbing, and the electrical. And we want to also consider the location and commute from work. Mm-hmm. We want to take a look at school ratings if you have children or are going to have children, and the crime rates and the neighborhood feel. So I always like to refer people to a website called areavibes.com that will give you school and crime grades, and as well as affordability and how people like it. But what I recommend for crime rates especially is to Google a crime rate map, because it's going to give you a crime rate statistic for that particular neighborhood that you're thinking of buying in. And usually, like if it's in a blue color or purple color is usually what they use. So if it's like lavender or light blue, it's going to be in a good crime rate area. If it's dark blue or dark purple, it's going to be in a high crime rate area. So as a realtor, I cannot tell you where to go for good crime rates, but I do want you to do your due diligence on that. And then you can also talk to the neighbors. I've had people go to the doors and just knock on the door and say, hey, I'm thinking about moving in this neighborhood. And what do you like about this neighborhood? Is it pretty nice? Do you want to move, or whatever? And they'll give you their feedback. And also we want to know if there's any HOA fees or rules that we need to go by in that neighborhood.
Right. Because some HOAs are kind of restrictive, right? They don't even allow you to paint certain colors.
Or plant certain flowers, or right. But some are pretty lenient. So you just want to check that out. Mm-hmm. Well, the day comes when we have found your perfect home. We are going to submit an offer. We're going to submit the proof of funds, the pre-approval letter. We're going to negotiate the terms. We're going to ask for credit if there's repairs that need to be done. We're going to ask a lower price if it's priced a little too high. We're going to, and then when we get our offer accepted, then we open escrow. And escrow is the title company where they do their research on the title just to make sure the title is clean and it can be transferred into your name cleanly. Right. And it's also a third party. They're a third neutral party where they do not, they're not on one side or the other, but they also hold the funds. So they will hold that earnest money deposit. They'll hold the down payment. And then they're also one that distributes the funds once the loan is funded, or the cash. If it's a cash offer, then they'll keep the cash as well. Yeah.
Well, let me elaborate on this, because Carla also does her own CMA analysis, right? Because some of the listings, some of the listings are kind of overpriced.
Yeah. So
they don't want to admit it, but you can look at the CMA like, okay, this is not even ballpark what it should be.
Right. So listing agent's going to do they're the ones that are selling the home for the seller, and they're going to do their comparative market analysis. We call it the CMA, like he was talking about, to see how to price that home. But there are sellers who say, well, I put in $400,000 worth of landscaping and retaining
Upgrades.
wall,
Yeah.
and it was for them. And what they want you to do is love it as the new buyer. Well, you may not love it as much as they did. It may not be worth that much to you. So they usually want to price it too high to get all that money back that they put into it just to make it special for them. Well, it's fine if you make it special for you, but you may not get it back. And so that is when we take a look at that. Or they just may think they want more for it. Some people say, well, I just want somebody from the Bay Area to come up here to Auburn and buy my home, and I'm going to put in the market for $1 million when it's really only worth $800,000. I've seen that happen before too. So I'm going to run my own comps as the buyer's agent, and I'm going to say, okay, this house is really only worth this much.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. You have a realtor works for you.
Amen.
Yeah. All right, step 7. You want to talk about the inspection?
Yeah, so inspection. So California has the most liberal inspection period of all the states. It's 17 days. So during that time, you want to get your home inspection, your pest inspection, your roof inspection, your sewer inspection, septic inspection, whatever you need for that home, well inspection. And then you can make a decision about whether you still want the home or whether you want to ask for some credit from seller credit to make some repairs on anything that comes up in those reports. And if you just want out of it, if you just say, nope, I don't want, after all this, I just don't want this home, you can get out of it as long as it's before 17 days. You're not obligated.
Right. We're getting very close, finalizing the loan. You're almost there.
Yep.
So at this point, lender will do the final review of the appraisal and the documents. Okay, loan will be approved, and you get this clear to close.
Nice.
You schedule the signing with escrow and bring your funds to escrow. Usually they give you wiring instructions, and you wire the money to the escrow account. Well, hey, if you use DPA, you don't have to pay anything. There will be no funds to wire.
Down payment assistance, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they just wire the money and you just wait for your keys. How fantastic is that? Right? There's a closing day.
Closing day. That's right.
Yeah, that's the most exciting one.
I meet you at your home with your new keys. Well, you're going to sign the final closing document. So either go into the title company like the day or two before the closing day and to sign those final documents, or they send you, if you're not close to the title company, then they'll send a notary to you wherever you want them to meet you at. It can be at a park, it can be your home or your place of work, wherever that is. And then the lender, so the funds, the down payment's wired to the escrow company. The lender funds the loan, and then the deed is recorded. And they always send me an email and they say, we are now on record. And that means the title has been transferred to your name. I'll meet you at your house, give you your keys, and you're officially a homeowner. And in about 6 to 8 weeks, I schedule a meet the neighbors party, because a lot of people get into their new home and they don't know anybody. They just feel so isolated in this new neighborhood. And I've done it before. And the lender, Yi and I, we meet there with the food, the pizza, or whatever we're going to bring, and the drinks. And then all you have to do is invite your friends and your family. And I will invite the neighbors. We will invite the neighbors. I usually go door to door and pass out flyers. And we usually have a really good turnout from the neighborhood. So just a fun thing to do for you.
Yeah, it's like a party, block party.
Yeah. We give you 6 to 8 weeks just to give you time to get moved in and settled in and get your little home set up, because it's going to be at your house or in your backyard or wherever you want to do it, but at your house.
Okay.
Next steps, Yi. What do we do next?
Yeah, so for those of you guys who have been thinking about home ownership, and hopefully this give you some understanding, like, okay, the steps that needed. And if you are, ready to go, or you just need somebody to give you some idea where you at, where you need to go, I suggest you book a one-on-one strategy session, or whatever you call dreams and goals call with us. so we can just understand where you at and how we can get you to where you need to be. So I think a strategy call, or planning call, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Discovery call. Yeah.
discovery call. Yeah, because the more upfront planning work you do, the easier it will be when you get to, pre-approval, having the conversation with the caller about the budget, the needs and wants, right? Like everything just makes so much easier when you going towards this home path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we do have some resources for you today. So if you wanted a PDF guide on the home buying process, we have that available to you that we can send to you. And we also have a PDF copy of this seminar and the appendix. So some resources that we have at the end that, like where to get your credit report at, and who to call for the do not call list and all that. So we want to make sure that you have
The information
resources that you
Yeah.
need. Yeah. So to get
I
you
also
going.
just to make sure you have our contact information here, so you can email us, text us, call us. If text is easy, I answer text. Probably easy. Yeah, it's like, okay, I have a question. Just feel free to text me anytime. Yeah, we're here to just make it easy.
Well, I hope this was informative for you and it gave you more confidence and clarity on how to buy a home. And we would love to meet with you soon if that is your desire. But we want to thank you for coming today and hope you have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you so much. We will this is recorded, so we'll have a recording of this session as well, and also a PDF version we'll send out to you. So any questions, feel free to reach out to me or call it. We'd love to meet you and hopefully be the person to help you buy your first home.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Okay.